there, welcome to the Quantum Leap podcast. I'm really excited to be bringing you the latest interview with a member of the cast of the new series, José Zúñiga. José, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Matt. It's a pleasure to join you.
José's playing astronaut Jim Reynolds in the latest episode, Atlantis, so we're going to be talking a little bit about that shortly. But first, I've got to say, I've been looking back over your resume. You have had an amazing life and an amazing career. It's huge. It's not even spanned that long. You just seem to have been in everything, which is super daunting and impressive. Can you tell us how you got involved in acting? Was this like a childhood dream that you just went straight into, or was there a story along the way?
No, I wasn't born in the U.S. So
Mm-hmm.
I came here and I was a little kid, about 8. So early on in my life, you go to movies, American films and European
Mm-hmm.
films, and just the screen alone before the flicker of a movie started was pretty intoxicating. So maybe it started partially there, and then just kind of watching people like the Marx Brothers and little snippets of Brando, whoever, eventually led to just an attempt at it after college. Not anything I thought of at all. So it was like in my mid 20s, I just kind of gave a stab at it in New York and just progressed from there. Oddly enough, the first thing I did was because they couldn't find the cast worldwide, so they kind of did a search and they gave a bunch of people a shot, and I got in that one, which was in '92, a movie called Alive, about a plane crash of some Uruguayans. And oddly enough, I was the only Latin actor in the cast. So things have changed a lot. Yeah. It was just like back and forth between cities, New York and LA, just kind of bouncing around in projects, It all added up somehow.
Yeah, for something that you said you took a stab at, that's seems to have led to a lot of things.
Oh,
So
well,
can I ask you? You said this wasn't something that you started looking at until after college. Did you have a career mapped out that just
not so much, it was just a typical thing. Yeah, I was just, studying like liberal arts, history, things like that. And then just after that, I was kind of unsure what to do. Had a bunch of jobs in New York that were so dull, brilliantly dull. The tie, the suit, the subway train, that I said, oh God, I got to do something different. It was really more out of that, which in itself is kind of fun, kind of a fun story. I'm just like leafing through like groovy magazines in 1989 and
mm,
90, like, how do I get out of this kind of thing? So
yeah,
I took an acting class. But yeah, it was just
and then
then plays, and then just it was a little bit of an odd journey in the beginning. And then once you started to do it, you're just sort of hoping you catch on in some way. And then I've sort of become just kind of a character. I just do different things, different roles, different guys. But it's tricky. They kind of get you pegged. So I can look a little mean sometimes, I've been told. So I can be that kind of individual. You know what I mean? Or
yeah.
I always imagined I was a sort of a goofy New York dude, but it just doesn't happen the way you
Mm-hmm.
think. Nothing happens the way you think, oddly enough.
Ha-
So yeah, so that's
Have
it.
you? Because I haven't seen quite a lot of what you've done because it's, as I say, it's a long resume. Have you been able to play a goofy New York dude, or
I have
is your
indeed.
you,
I
yeah?
have indeed many times. Uh, Not lately. Lately,
Mm.
I've been more of the high end criminal or the high end politician, and neither of which I know anything about. But I've learned a few things. So
But obviously working for you. And is this your first time as an astronaut?
yes. Oh wait, no, because I did The
No.
Expanse. The Expanse is a show on
Right.
Amazon, and
Yes.
Yes, so this is very interesting. So when we had our session for the suits, which are all authentic, except minus the weight, the actual weight of the suit would not be something we could work with. But, we had to have a training session for this episode. And, you get locked in with a real helmet, which can be very claustrophobic. So I was kind of told about that, and then we met and we had a little session about that. But when I did The Expanse, which is a show we did in Canada in 2019, I was in the fifth season of that show. That was same deal, but I really had a panic attack on that one because it's the same thing. This is like set 300 years in the future. But we had a spacesuit with a lock, an air channel, as well as a microphone. But then I got hoisted like 45 feet in the air for about 8 hours. And just before we started to film, I had to ask like 70 people to please stop because I was having a full on panic attack. It lasted about 35, no, 20 seconds. I had to just relax and say, no, this is not, this is going to go away. Just breathe. So I
Yeah.
got used to it. So, second time I was an astronaut. Only this
That's
time,
that's a tough combination,
it is.
being locked in and high up. That's
Yeah.
yeah,
But it was,
impressive.
so to answer your question truthfully, I was an astronaut in the future and an astronaut in the past, since this is in the 80s. But I have not been an astronaut in the present. That's my next
So
goal.
that's the
That's
next one
right.
to aim for. That's the next
Yes,
project.
yes. But it's fascinating because everything was done to scale and everything was done accordingly as it was. So when we were in that little module, which is the exact replica of the ship, you realize how fragile and how it's almost like anybody could do it kind of feeling. And then we all gave into that sort of feeling of, well, okay, what are we doing? We could, this is what those guys went through. It was pretty fun.
I'd I really want to come back to that in a minute. I just
Yeah.
want to maybe go back a little step and just ask it in terms of the lead up to the role. You obviously had the experience on The Expanse. Was there much in the way of preparation or any kind of build up that you had, or is this just you're a character actor, you show up and you're ready to put on the suit?
Hmm. Actually wanted to really, I knew very little about the show other than, it was around and it was a great hit and it was got a bunch of great
Mm.
actors in it. Scott, who I know, oddly enough, um, I just got excited about it, not knowing what it would be. But when they said astronaut, having done The Expanse, I knew that it was kind of better to get yourself in there mentally
Mm.
because it's a different frame. It's a different frame. It's a different way of thinking. These obviously are military people or trained people in some way, mathematical people or something along those lines. So I wanted to have the right demeanor, approach, the right way of communicating, the right way to think, the right way to feel, modulating your breathing. I had all kinds of expectations and things I wanted to do, but there was no time. So the fitting with the actual suit, I kind of try to pack in as much information as possible, and that was the approach. Yeah, it's a total character actor job. It came up out of nowhere, but it was. I think all of us were pretty excited to do it, and we were met with that excitement once we started. Like Martin Garrow, he was like really charming, smart, great guy. The cast, Deborah Pratt. Oh my God, she's amazing. I mean, I was very taken with the whole group and thought, wow, there's no wonder people love the show because they really respect the fans, and they really love the show. So they were very happy to have the opportunity. So they wanted to make our experience. There was an astronaut there who was giving us advice. So short of not making a film, we had as much preparation as you could expect, considering it was like on the fly because shows have to move fast. They have to make the best of
Yeah.
circumstances. Even though they put a lot into this show, by the time we get to this stage where we're making episodes, we got to move pretty quickly, and you have to cut things and you have to be efficient. But yeah, it was a good blend of job, let's go, and preparation.
Yeah, I mean I know how quick a turnaround these things have. I was really surprised when you just mentioned that you actually had an astronaut there
Yeah.
advising. Was that just blew me away?
Yeah, that was
That's quite
amazing. Except
impressive
I
for
started
a
to feel
network show.
funny, I mumble. I kind of have a mumbling thing, especially when we were all a little bit like, there were certain phrases we had about
Mm.
docking the station. The payload bay door, that was the big one. It was a running
Mm.
joke with all of us. It got very silly. The payload bay door. You'll know. Um, and so we had to. I kept asking him, "Am I saying that right? Do you guys really say payload?" Yes. He goes, "Yes, we say payload bay door. Payload bay door is ready to go." And I thought, "Oh my God, that just sounds so silly." But it was that sort of stuff. Got very fun in a way.
Yeah, I guess with such a such a small cast for your portion of the episode. I mean, there's three astronauts plus Addison.
Yeah,
It must have been quite a tight knit group to suddenly be thrown into,
yeah,
rather than a kind of a large ensemble. Can you
yeah.
talk a little bit about that and how you work with the other actors and
Well, yeah, that
got in with
we
that?
kind of bonded pretty quickly, the three of us, and we felt that Addison was, she's not with us really, but she's with us, and so but we did all kind of form a little group there that's pretty tight. And what it did for us, because we were visiting for the episode, we kind of became, I don't know how to phrase this. This happens a lot to actors where you join a show for a little bit of time and then you get very supportive of the show because the role is kind of adding to it. They're giving you stuff. Then you sort of want to be a part of it somehow. So I was plotting how to ask Deborah, like maybe we can have a reunion, maybe another lead. I don't know. I didn't want to say that stuff, but in terms of all of us, we were definitely we were, we bonded in terms of just how tightly we had to work, the pressure of just being together with the suits and having to connect emotionally, but also like, oh, this is great. This is fun. Wouldn't it be great if we got to do something, you know what I mean? Something else. So
Yeah.
we were playing on that same routine that actors do, which is like, boy, I would love to be part of this. This is such a great group. We'd like to do it. But it was mostly because we were connecting. We were having fun with each other. And when we would joke around and just relax about the suit and this and that, we brought it back into the scene. And then the more we did it, by the end of the first day, we were all a pretty tight knit group of astronauts, which was great because Carly and I have this father son relationship, and we have to find our way into respecting each other,
Mm.
which I'll talk about later because the show does that really well, which is like, first of all, making me the commander, by the way, Commander Reynolds, little correction. Notice how I corrected you way after, very respectful correction.
Yeah.
Commander Reynolds. So, it's that whole assumption that I know everything. And it's like,
Mm.
but yet it's me. Like, I don't think there's been a Latin astronaut. So the show does that so well. It just kind of plays with ethnicities and names and roles and just doesn't really call attention to anything, just makes
Mm.
people who they are. Like, Ben, same thing. So that was well done because Carly and I have to give her respect because she takes over, guides us back, while I'm out. And then we just
Mm.
grow to respect each other. So that there's subtle tricks, subtle elements to the script that give respect to just people in general. You know what I mean? Just good way to like bring cultures up. I love that about it.
Yeah. Well, like you say, it's a good show for that, and it always has been.
Yeah,
It's the way it gives those opportunities for representation.
exactly. But we did find a way to connect all of us. Partially because we were just intimidated by the language of how do astronauts really talk. But it resulted really. It worked out. It really worked out. I think it worked out. It's hard to know. You never know. You always go into any project just like not knowing. You just do it, try to connect.
Mm.
And especially when we were like watching, you were looking out the windows. Okay, so this star's moving. Okay, the bay door's released, and we have to kind of do the old. You're in space, remember? Yeah,
This obviously isn't the first time you've worked with effects, so
yeah.
you're not new to this. But how do you find that in terms of the ability to just get in the zone? Assume there was some CG put in afterwards.
Yeah.
Was there anti gravity work as well, and
Oh, yes, there was.
all that kind of
We had
stuff?
it was a mix
Yeah.
of some anti-gravity, but mostly we had to play at that. That I was well trained on the Expanse, which is this kind of zero gravity, which is it's a tricky thing. Like you have to know how to do it. It's just it's a subtle thing. But how to get at that is yeah, it you have to lock into a certain. I kind of think a lot of scuba diving. You have to just give into the world you're in now, and you just have to be there
Mm.
and just breathe differently, move differently, and you sort of find yourself in your imagination connecting. And then it gets technical and things like camera angles and close-ups and different shots, time of day, how you feel, and you have to learn how to play with all that. So you have to again go back into your imagination and how you connect with the other actors. That really is sort of the lifeline to that because it is hard. The CGI stuff is hard. It can be like, okay, lunch, and you just gotta hoist off this thing, and there's just a wall behind you. You know what I mean? 2 minutes ago, you were like up in space. So it's kind of
But it
interesting.
sounds like there was a lot more going on practically than CG from what you're saying,
Yes,
just in terms of
yes,
a lot coming out of the performance and the camera
yes,
angles and
yes.
everything. So.
Well, my one of my favorite effects was when Ben looks up and sees himself in the mirror. I love that effect. That was cool.
Mm.
Um, and he had to do some floating. It was very tricky, very nicely done. How they had to merge some of our acting, play acting, or whatever you want to call that sort of work, and the actual effects, which were really really nicely done. So it's yeah, it's enjoyable, but also like a bit of a grind, but keeps you in your brain, keeps you in your version of the story. You know what I mean? That's kind of the only way to do it, at least for me.
I I'd like to go back quickly to something that you said earlier on because this always interests me when I'm speaking to a guest actor in the series. Um, you're there in a leadership position and you
Mm,
have to put that feeling of confidence in. But at the end of the day, you're just there for the one episode,
right,
unless you return.
right,
This is Raymond Lee's show.
right.
How is that a challenge for a performer to go in to a show and act like you're the most important person in the room because
Oh
you
my
are the one
God,
that's in control, but also knowing that there's this established ensemble cast
yeah,
already?
that's such a good question. I gotta tell you. No, yes, that's difficult, but it only gets better the more you do it because
Hmm.
in the beginning you just want to be a part of it somehow, and you feel excited, so you want to contribute, and then you have to hope that the atmosphere is welcoming because it isn't always welcoming. Sometimes you're just dismissed. You're here to do that, or sometimes you're killed off, or there's a lot of things. There's a lot of egos going on, so you have to learn to read and feel out the situation, but mainly stay professional about it. But that takes time. It takes time to just kind of go through your hard knocks. Also have your successes, but it's both. But definitely takes a lot of work to do that. It gets much easier, but and so at this point for this show, I just felt excited to be a part of it, and I was made to feel very welcome. And the atmosphere is different now than it was, let's say, 20 years ago, where it just is a little much more inclusive. So it was very open to respecting the actors. So I felt great taking on that role. A little wistful at the end because I wish, I enjoyed it so much. But there's no rule, there's no room. You know what I mean? It's like story after different story. But yeah, that to answer that, it is difficult sometimes. So, you have to bear through some stuff. Mainly just that, you're only there for a little while and out you go. But you have to trust that you're building some kind of career and you're building some kind of reputation and just doing good work. And I guess it's all such a crapshoot. You know, you could be right for a show and the show could take off. Or I did a pilot in 2010 that was great, a CIA comedy, and it didn't go. And it was like the best thing I could have ever hoped for. It was so fun. It was a great, great, great cast. John Goodman, it was hilarious. It just didn't happen. It was like a 3 year buildup for this great show, and then just things like that. And then other times you're just on something for a while. So,
Is there anything else about the Quantum Leap experience that we've not covered?
oh yeah, yeah. Well, maybe I mentioned it earlier, but they like Donald and especially Deborah and Martin, like they really want to make this work, but not in this like overly aggressive way. They just want to like kind of almost be in tune with what people want, but at the same time, just let this version of it really organically come together and just really become like a family. But that's in the world of network TV, which is pretty tricky. There's a lot of different opinions of how things have to be. So like they've got a great team for that. Martin's really good at that. He can make something gel in that world. So I think there's just so much goodwill and desire on their part. That I wanted to talk about because I think it's such a smart group and such a cool show. What a great idea, really. And I'm just a little bit, oh man, I got to see them all now. I want to see them all. I want to see the ones from before and this one. So do you guys think there's going to be a reunion of Sam and Ben?
That's all anyone's talking about at the moment.
That's all we were
Because
talking
I
about.
mean,
Even having not
yeah,
even seen
and
the show, I thought, oh, wouldn't it be great if they brought those two guys together on our ship?
yeah,
I don't think it's going to
and
happen. I don't know.
it's obviously this new series is going off in new directions, and
Yeah,
we want to be focused on the now, and we want to be focused on your story and the story that's going to come next week, and the
yeah,
story that will come the week after that. So, um, yeah, I think it's an interesting time for fandom at the moment, sort
yeah,
of experiencing that, but also just in the back of all our heads, what's the end game here? Are we going to
yeah,
see Sam again?
yeah, exactly. Are you enjoying it? Are you finding the
Consistency.
world? Are the things I'm saying to you
Yes,
ringing true in some way? Can you feel it?
absolutely. I mean, you can definitely feel, and we spoke to Deborah a few months back.
She's
Obviously,
great.
she couldn't share that much, but you could definitely feel that, like you said, that feeling of goodwill and that real desire to give something to the fans that have been
Yeah,
patient. And like you say, it is such a good idea that can
yeah,
go anywhere. It went
yeah.
anywhere for 5 years.
Yeah, exactly. But I enjoyed
It's
our group. We had a great time. We're all very really excited. We check in with each other, just to see for a TV show where you sort of pop in and you just kind of do something and you have to create this character. Which, by the way, I didn't really talk about that enough. It was sort of it all hinged on my relationship with Carly, and it's really
mm,
difficult to try to hit that in such a set amount of time and in such controlled scenes. But that's what I was hoping for, just an emotional connection that can lead to a resolution that you believe in. You know what I mean? Decisions are made based on the relationships you're seeing. That's what we hope to do. Anyway, I wanted to tell you that from before.
yeah.
Forgot. I was on
No,
another
that's
note, but
that's
I not enough coffee. That's the life's trick. You have to have a lot of coffee.
same here. It's late for me. It's early for you.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
I think you were sort of implying you've kept in touch with the cast since. You
Yeah,
still
we
talking to
check
them?
in with each other. Staying in touch with actors is is very interesting. You want to, but a lot of times
Yes.
you don't want to be bothered or bother. So unless you're at the stage where you kind of want to hang out with your friends, because that's what you are, we kind of have like ad hoc families, you know. You do a show, you have a little group you get really tight with, and you move on. So you're kind of both isolated and united with a slew of people. So we check in, but respectfully. But I think that this is, like I said before, it is special because we all kind of care about each other, and we're going to definitely stay in touch. But more importantly, we kind of cared about the show. Oddly enough, it's network shows. You can imagine their shows. You're just like, see you, good luck. Yeah, this one's like, no, feel part of it. You feel part of it, even though it's like we're all part. Every one of our storylines, I think we're all connected to it. Ben's good. They're such a great. Ray's such a it's great actor. Good actors, actually. That's the other thing. That's luck.
Yeah, it's an amazing cast they've pulled
Yeah.
together, and it's so good to hear that you got that vibe from. I think they're 8-day shoots at the moment.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you were there for about a week, and
Yeah. It was like a full week and a half of space flight.
Yes,
It was fun. It's kind of fun, actually.
that kind of intensity is gonna give you connections, but yeah, it's good. It's good to hear.
Yeah. Really, the main thing is, what you guys should know just how like the commitment that I felt from everybody, and that heartbeat that Deborah Pratt is, that heartbeat in Martin, like the combo of Deborah and Martin, pretty tough to beat for a show. The rest is, you got to get your right team, the right actors, and they're all excellent. But you got to have those people there driving it, and those two are. And it all plays so well too in terms of art imitating life, because Deborah was, she was part of the original show and all this time, and now she's in this version of the show, and Martin's coming in, and he is so intelligent and so understands it so well. It's just really cool. It's very exciting. I can't stress that enough for them. Hopefully this will, Captain Reynolds will benefit from all this future space missions.
Yes, it's an exciting time to be a fan as well.
Yes, it is.
I think that's probably a perfect time to wrap up talking about Quantum Leap. Do you have any other upcoming projects that you want to share with us that we can look forward to?
There's a series I did for Netflix called Griselda, which is going to air next January or December. That I'm excited about, even though that's set in the 70s, the Miami, Columbia drug culture. So that's kind of
nice.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And
playing another high profile criminal.
Yes, but a pretty fun one. Yeah. A pretty fun one.
Okay.
What else? There's a few other things. They're escaping me. Not many. That one's the big one. And there's a few projects that think I'll be doing in the next few months, and until I get word, I'm got to keep those hopes in check. But yeah, good stuff,
Keep our fingers crossed.
I appreciate that.
But I hope everyone that enjoyed your performance in Atlantis will tune into Griselda to follow on with you.
Yeah, just to see, wow, that's the same guy, that kind of thing. That alone would be fun. But yeah, no, I so loved being Reynolds. We all did. So thanks for the opportunity to talk to you about it. It was cool, really cool, great fun. And congrats on this podcast. And I'm a fan of you guys, so I'm gonna stay listening. I want to know what other people you interview.
Yeah. Well, we'll be we're on every week with some discussion and dissection. So you'll hear a review of the episode.
Excellent.
We're getting more interviews lined up all the time.
Excellent. Good stuff. I'll be tuning in.
Great stuff. Thank you so much.
Of course, man.
That was fantastic. Yep. So we'll have lots more interviews and features coming up. I've been Matt Dale for the Quantum Leap Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us at quantumleappodcast.com to get those exclusive features and interviews, and check out quantumleapinfo.net for all the latest info on the show.